pleasure to bring Senator Roger Wicker, ranking member of the Armed Services Committee. Senator Wicker, terrific. Thank you for coming on, sir. I just want to start with this big letter, 117. You know, my arithmetic's not very good, but bipartisan letter, about 117 members, more Democrats than Republicans. And basically, they want maximum sanctions, and they do not want the United Nations to end the sanctions on the ballistic missiles. Now, you know these issues backwards and forwards. Can you fill us in what's happening, and why are we not hearing anything from the Biden administration about this stuff?
Well, okay, don't make me try to defend the Biden administration, but Larry, you've said so many things that are absolutely correct. About this bipartisan letter in the House, I'm eager to get it over here to the Senate because I think we would have bipartisan support. Let me say this. First of all, Israel simply wants to exist as a peace-loving democracy in an area of the world that is very tough. It is the sworn goal of Hamas. It is part of their charter on the very first page that Israel and the Jews must be destroyed. So when we talk about civilians being killed, we need to remember that it was the plan of Hamas to go into Israel and to kill women, children, babies, and to rape and pillage. If there is some incidental civilian loss in Hamas, it is absolutely incidental, and I don't know what the ground truth will be. I suspect Israel is actually giving us a good picture. But on the one hand, Hamas deliberately went in with a goal, not only to take territory, but also to inflict human suffering and death.
Well, you know, Senator, I'm just, I don't want to lose sight of this UN sanctions on the ballistic missile. You know, this thing, no one knew about this. I found it this morning. I said it on my pal Stu Varney's show. I'm repeating it tonight. I'm just trying to give some awareness. I don't think people realize tomorrow's the deadline, and if the deadline passes, then the sanctions are removed on Iranians' construction of, purchase of, whatever, ballistic missiles, which is awful.
Well, and I think relying on the UN in this particular climate doesn't give me a very good feeling. Yes, I think everything the administration has done with regard to Iran and to their clients, Hezbollah and Hamas, over the last year and a half, 2.5 years, has been wrong, has underestimated exactly what Iran and Hamas want to do and what their goal is, which is the elimination of Israel and, frankly, the death of Americans.
Yes, sir. I mean, I think Biden's, I mean, look, Joe Biden's done well. He's done well by Israel so far. All right, I'll give him credit. But the other side of the coin is he's in denial about Iran. And he's in denial about Iran's, oil revenues, trading with China, and this, nobody's even mentioned this ballistic missile sanction. I know the UN's not reliable, but no one's even talking about this, which kind of blows my mind when I discovered it. Let me ask you another one, Senator Wicker. Jack Lew, former Treasury Secretary, a lot of Republican senators are objecting to his appointment as ambassador to Israel. Here's a guy who unlocked a lot of frozen Iranian assets and gave it to him while he was Obama's Treasury Secretary. It just seems like this is the wrong guy at the wrong time to take that post.
He's absolutely the wrong guy. I will not support him, and I don't know whenever the right time would be for Jack Lew to go into a position like this. There's going to be a hearing tomorrow before the Foreign Relations Committee. That's not a committee that I have a leadership role in. I think by the end of the day, it will be clear that there'll be hardly any Republican support for Jack Lew. And so the idea that we need to get somebody over there quickly as a show of support for Israel is absolutely wrong. Really, I think the stronger thing we could do for Israel is to keep people from Jack Lew, who's really been an Iranian sympathizer for whatever reason for a long, long time, who said Iran would not have money released and given to them, and we now know the banking system was allowed to do that. There's just every reason not to have him, and frankly, from what I understand, our number 2 in the American embassy in Jerusalem now, the chargé, is actually a very effective diplomat, and most people think we'd be a lot better off if we kept her in office. But if Jack Lew gets confirmed, it will be strictly with Democrat votes, in my estimation, and it's going to take a lot of time on the floor of the Senate when we ought to be doing other things like funding the government and doing a supplemental security package.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you. Senator Roger Wicker, it's a pleasure to see you. Thanks for coming.